Guys, Los Angeles is on fire. Homes are gone, families displaced. The air smells like smoke, and the sky, when I went out there yesterday, it felt like the apocalypse. But the fires aren't the only things that are causing chaos. I think there's a lot of misinformation, looting, and a system on a broader scale that's failing people when they need it most. The fires, the insurance fallout, and the devastation around it, they're not isolated events. Los Angeles is known to have fires from time to time, but this is the biggest fire that they've had to date. This is actually, I think, dollar-wise, the biggest natural disaster we've had in the U.S. The Palisades fire, which is in the more affluent area, which is like down by Santa Monica and Malibu, this Palisades fire has already burned over 21,500 acres. Over 5,000 structures have been destroyed, and it's only 8% contained right now. The Eaton fire, which is kind of further up north by the San Gabriel Mountains, 14,100 acres have burned, only 3% contained, and 7,000 structures burned. This one is especially bad. Not that the Palisades fire is not bad, but many of the people that live in those areas have second homes or somewhere else to go. Many of the people in this Altadena community that's affected by the Eden fire, where I was actually born, they have nowhere else to go. So the displacement of people is huge. Already 11 people have died. Over 150,000 people have been displaced, and neighborhoods are completely flattened. I actually know a few people that have been displaced by this personally. My landlord, her ex-husband and his 3 daughters, they're staying with us right now. And a lot of my clients, they know people that are staying with them as they escape the LA fires. It's really bad, and I really feel for all the people that genuinely have nowhere to go. This is all really caused by, climate issues at the end of the day. Last year and the year before, we got a lot of rain, so lots of vegetation was growing. And then this past year, or, the end of last year and the beginning of this year, when it's supposed to be raining, it's gotten very, very little rain, which has left the vegetation extremely dry, more likely to burn. And in this area, we have these winds called the Santa Ana winds, which come from inland and blow over to the coast. Super duper powerful winds. I remember when they were blowing in Laguna, it was super intense. Over like Tuesday night last week, it was howling all night. It was really bad. And these winds mixed with the bone dry vegetation, just as soon as something goes up, the wind is able to push the embers literally for miles and then spark another fire and spark another fire here. 2024 was also the hottest year on record. 2023, the year before, was the hottest year on record before that, which is obviously not normal. Warmer air unfortunately holds less moisture, which turns forests into basically kindling for firestorms. It's unfortunate in times like these, we're not really looking at how to solve the problem. Everyone's just pointing fingers at different people. I've heard one of my clients say, oh, I heard that it was the homeless people in the forest that caused the fire. And I heard another person saying, oh, I heard that someone is pouring gasoline into the sewage, which is making the fires worse. Either of these claims might be true, but the fact is, when I ask these people where did they hear this, they're like, oh, I saw it on TikTok, or oh, my friend told me. I don't think we should be spreading misinformation. If you don't have a credible source, like the chief of police or the head of the fire department or some government official saying what caused something, just don't say it, because it just spreads like wildfire. Sorry, no pun intended there. And this goes to a higher level, actually, than just, common folks spreading rumors and misinformation like this. It's really frustrating seeing right now the government pointing fingers at each other, like Republicans being like, oh, it's the stupid liberals for their policies, or the liberals being like, well, climate change is happening because of the Republicans, so, I don't think it's time to be pointing fingers. The real problem here is a mix of climate change, urban sprawl, and systems that are really not built to handle this scale of a disaster. Going back to, all the people displaced, lots of people, when they buy a home, that's their biggest asset. Financially, it's their biggest asset. Not only is it their biggest financial asset, it's, obviously it's where they live. So when this burns down to the ground, you're losing everything. You're losing your safety net, you're losing all the memories, you're losing a place to go, all of your clothes, all the food that you had. It's a really tough time for people out there, and I really do feel for them. I feel very grateful that, I'm in a house right now that isn't burned to the ground. Yeah, but if that's not enough, the people whose houses have been left behind, many houses have been experiencing looting right now, which is fucking like extremely frustrating. Like, can you imagine your neighborhood is burning to the ground, so you have to evacuate your house, right? And then you come back to your house, you're like, oh, thank God, my house is still here. But all your stuff is gone because someone took advantage of the situation to loot your house. It's disgusting. Shout out to the firefighters, though, for real. Like, the winds are super intense out there. It's super smoky. I was actually in Altadena yesterday where the Eaton fire is, and I was walking around for, here, let me put up a clip. I've just been walking around in this for like 10 minutes. My lungs are already hurting. Should have brought a mask, but I feel for the people that have been living in this for the last few days. So seriously, shout out to the firefighters, and I really do feel for all the people that live in these areas that are affected. It's tough. Even when I was in my car, I could already smell the smoke. It's interesting. I'll put up a picture here, but if you look, you'll notice that there are houses reduced to rubble, but there are trees around them that are scorched. How does it make sense that our houses are burning to the ground and the trees are still standing? I feel like we have really outdated building codes here or something. I was talking to one of my clients. He builds hospitals. He's a hospital building contractor, I guess. And I was asking him, like, what can we do about this? And he's saying what they really need to do is, they've got like a flame retardant. We can get like fire resistant flame retardant plaster around the wood instead of just a regular plaster that we have, or even thicker plaster to just protect the wood inside and, prevent it from going up into flames as soon. Obviously this is more expensive, but when you consider the cost of rebuilding your house that got burned to the ground, I think it's very worth the cost. And I think that should be a requirement going forward so that we don't have disasters like this. Now, when it comes to insurance, lots of people are talking about the insurance right now. People are like, it's very suspicious that the insurance companies left a few months before the fires. Are they behind this? I don't think there's any conspiracy here. I think they're just scum. I mean, I think as we've seen in the past, like, insurance companies, they're a business. They make money by taking money in from people and then paying out as little as possible. That is the business model. That is just how it works. And unfortunately, if that means taking fire insurance away from areas that are likely to burn to the ground, that's what they're going to do. I don't think it's conspiracy. I think it's a little scummy. Not little scummy. I think it's scummy and unethical, but that's just capitalism. That is the game that we live in right now, and I think the government should definitely step in here and support, I don't know, maybe subsidize the insurance companies. I don't know what we need to do, but clearly there's a problem here with these insurance companies. And, we recently saw Luigi Mangione kill a health insurance guy, a health insurance CEO. I'm wary, hopefully not, but I'm wary that, one of the home insurance people will be next, because we just recently saw it. Someone will probably be like, Luigi Mangione did it, I can do it too. And unfortunately, you cannot get a mortgage if you don't have insurance on the home that you're getting a mortgage on. If these insurance rates keep going up, then people can't buy a house in these neighborhoods, which means I really think that, the insurance rates in Altadena, for example, are obviously going to go up after this. And I feel like we're going to see the demographic in the area change a lot to people who can afford these mortgages and afford these insurances. Fires in California, floods in Brazil, heat waves in Europe. It's all connected to the broader scope of climate change, right? And you might say, well, I don't live in California where it's really dry and hot and it's going to burn. But California used to not be this hot and dry. It's always been a desert state. It's always been dry and hot, and it's always had fires, but not to this extent. And as you see California move in the direction of having more and more of these fires, I think we're going to see places that are not supposed to have fires getting drier and getting hotter and starting to have similar conditions to what California had decades ago. So, the winds, they've had a little reprieve this weekend, so hopefully they've been able to contain some of the fires. But it's expected to pick up again on Monday and really make things a whole lot worse. So my heart really goes out to all the people out there. Heart goes out to the firefighters that are really doing the most. I really think we just need smarter urban planning, different building codes, and we really need to do something about climate change. I know we've been saying this every single year. I remember in 2010 or something, it was like, if we don't make a change by 2015 or by 2020, we're screwed. And now here we are in 2025, and we have hurricanes wrecking the east, and we have fires wrecking the west. It's only getting worse. These fires really aren't just destroying homes. They're kind of just showing how unprepared we are for the real effects of climate change, which we are really experiencing right now. And yeah, if this doesn't wake us up, man, like I don't know. I don't know what will. I really hope that we see some changes after this. Before wrapping up here, I want to say there's lots of resources to help out people. Probably not enough. Probably not enough from the government, but lots of private companies and lots of grassroots people are doing a lot to support the displaced people. I'll throw some links down in the description below for where you can donate, or if you're displaced, you can find support. So seriously, good luck to everyone out there, and let's hope we do better tomorrow.